August 2022 and I'm in Holland, visiting the university city of Leiden, home to canals, windmills, a castle and a young painter who'll probably never amount to much. Located in the province of Zuid-Holland in the Netherlands, 40 kilometres south of Amsterdam and 20 kilometres north of The Hague, the city of Leiden is the 20th largest city in the country and can trace its roots back to the 9th century when the settlement was founded on an artificial hill at the confluence of the old and new Rhine rivers. The hill was originally built to protect the population from the floodwaters of the two rivers and was subsequently fortified during the 12th century. In 1266, Leiden received city rights, and by the end of the 14th century it had a population of around 4,000 people. By the end of the 15th century, weaving was established as an important trade in the city, and through the following centuries, printing and publishing also became important industries. In 1572, the city sided with the Dutch revolt against Spanish rule and played an important role in the 80 Years' War. The Spanish besieged the city from May until October 1574, with the city eventually being relieved by the cutting of the dikes, enabling ships to take provisions into the now flooded town. As a reward of their heroic defence, William I of Orange founded the University of Leiden in 1574. The university is now one of Europe's most prominent scientific centres and a key feature of the city, with buildings dotted throughout the historic centre. In 1606, the 9th child of Herman van Rijn was born in the city, and whilst his father was a well-to-do miller, there was no chance of the young boy inheriting the business. So whilst attending school, he took up an apprenticeship to the Leiden painter Jacob van Swanenburg. Even by the time he moved to Amsterdam in 1631, Rembrandt van Rijn was recognised an important painter and went on to become one of the most important visual artists, as well as the greatest of Dutch masters. At the same time as Rembrandt was a young boy in the city, a group of Puritans who'd fled England arrived in Leiden, establishing a community, including churches, and with many of their members taking jobs at the university. The community lived in the city for around 10 years before they decided their children were integrating rather too well into Dutch society, so they took the decision to leave the country. In July 1620, the community departed Delfshaven in the Speedwell and sailed to Southampton, where they met up with another ship. Problems with Speedwell caused them to eventually abandon the ship in Plymouth, where they joined the passengers on the second ship, the Mayflower, to continue their journey across the Atlantic. Of the 102 passengers on board the Mayflower that left England, around half had started their journey in Leiden. By the end of the 19th century, the city was growing rapidly and expanding beyond the 17th century moats that had been built to protect it. But much older than those moats was the Burcht van Leiden, built on that original man-made hill at the confluence of the old and new Rhine rivers around 1100. However, within just 200 years, the fortifications were considered antiquated, in part due to the townspeople building their houses around the base of the hill, making defence impossible without destroying much of the city. Over the following years, the interior buildings of the keep that had been built up around the outer shell were dismantled and reused for other constructions of the city, leaving the outer wall that exists today. Just behind the ruins of the castle is the Hooglandse Kerk, which in places dates back to the end of the 14th century. The church is dedicated to St Pancras. The church was expanded and extended over the intervening centuries, with it taking on its final form around 1665. Today, the church continues to function as a place of worship, though with the congregation occupying just one arm of the building. The rest of the space is an exhibitions and conference venue. When it was built as St Pancras, it was a Catholic church. However, after the Reformation, the church became part of the Dutch Reformed Church and was renamed at that point to Hooglandse Kerk. A short distance away across the city, the Marekerk is an altogether different church, being one of the first churches designed and built in the Netherlands specifically as a Protestant church, opening in 1649. Pieterskerk is the oldest and one of the largest churches in the city. It was at the centre of the Pilgrim Fathers community, and it's in this church that Pastor John Robinson, the pastor to the Pilgrim Fathers, is buried. The church itself was deconsecrated in 1971, and at the same time it was declared a national monument. Since 1975, it's been used as a conference and exhibition space. It's somewhat ironic that in the space where the Pilgrim Fathers once worshipped, there's now a fully stocked bar and comfortable seating. Perhaps one of the most iconic sights for Netherlands is the sight of a windmill turning in the breeze. For centuries, the Dutch have used the windmill for various tasks, from pumping water from the polders to grinding corn and sawing wood. The De Valk, or Falcon Mill, in the centre of Leiden is the third mill on the site. An original post mill was built in 1611, which was replaced by a newer mill in 1667. In 1743, the high tower mill that exists today was built on the site. Originally equipped with 6 millstones, the lower part of the mill was split into 2 mill dwellings, one for each of the owners. In 1966, the mill became a museum, and following major restoration, the mill became operational again in 2000. Today you can visit the mill and tour up through the structure, from the miller's dwellings on the lower floor, up through the exhibition space on the first floor, and then up through the machinery of the mill out to the gallery, 14 metres above the ground and at the base for sails, from where you can take in the views over the city and look up at the massive structure of the sails above you. Leiden-born Dutch master Rembrandt was a miller's son, and whilst the original family mill has long since gone, a replica post-mill has been built close to where it would originally have stood. Linking the bank where the house once stood to the mill is the Rembrandt Bridge. During summer months, the sails on the Molen de Put are unfurled, the anchors are taken off, and if the breeze permits, the mill springs to life. A short distance away from the Molen de Put is the Morspoort. The Morspoort is one of just 2 surviving gates into the city that used to sit on the defensive wall. A kilometre and a half across the city is the other remaining gate, the Zijlpoort. Next time, I continue my exploring of the city by taking a journey round the canals of Leiden, by day and by night.